What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and we have a great little full-on deep dive breakdown here with Zoom. This is ZM, not ZOOM ticker. So ticker symbol ZM. This is Zoom Video Communications. Of course, this has been on the rise due to the pandemic. A lot of people are saying that once this pandemic passes and the surge of these from schools and workplaces and people start getting back into the offices and things like that, that the overall trend of this will be coming down. We can be looking at multiple other things. I was actually told by this from one of our users here on the Discord, and you can find the Discord down below in the description. You can join completely free. You come in as a wonderful guest. You're treated with a nice warm welcome. We great little community. We got about 50 some odd people on there. We talk about stocks, trades throughout the day. We got a meme channel, all kinds of stuff. Go ahead and join completely free. Just have to create a Discord account. So the individual who on there who's like, hey Ken, can you do a breakdown or looking at a potential short idea a couple months out, 6-ish plus months out for Zoom communication video, and I said, I would love to do that for you. Let me see on what the chart looks like. And I literally just pulled up the chart and I said, holy moly guacamole, that looks like a head and shoulders pattern, doesn't it? It kind of looks like a head and shoulders pattern to me, in the formation. So you're asking me, whoa, Ken, I don't have dandruff. I don't need head and shoulders. What are you talking about? Completely different. This is a chart pattern here we're talking about. So head and shoulders. So it's a shoulder, head, shoulder pattern. So basically, this is what happens when the price goes up significantly, aka like Zoom, comes back down to an overall, for whatever reason, kind of creates a baseline, then surges higher than the previous shoulder, kind of tops out, comes back down to that previous support line, and then rises back up to nearly the same amount as the first shoulder, and then that basically means that gives a kiss and gives it goodbye. So looking at the reasons here, we can kind of give some more like a fundamental analysis here. So again, Zoom communication has just been on a huge rise up due to the, again, working from home, the remote economy that we live in right now, with a lot of people who have to stay, make meetings, and sales folks who are not able to meet in person with clients or with teams, not being able to communicate here in the office and things like that. What is the best roundabout way for them to kind of look at what's the best move for them? So that being said, there's multiple different things that we can look at here on the fundamental side. Zoom, yes, they offer a fairly good product, but I think that there's so many other folks out there that also offer a great product. Again, that is going to be your rivals like Google with their video classroom stuff. You have Microsoft with Teams, aka used to be Skype. You have Cisco WebEx, their services like that. You have LogMeIn with their GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar clients, and they perform well as well as Zoom, but they're just not getting the spotlight to the same extent. And then we talked about this on our last dividends, some stuff on the last live stream that we had. We talked about Verizon and how they just bought Blue Jeans. So Blue Jeans was also like a Zoom GoToMeeting, like video conferencing, share your screen kind of thing. With this, all these other companies basically in the same space, Zoom has kind of taken the torch and kind of climbed to the very top. With having nearly 3 million, I believe, what did it say? It said 3 million users, 300 million users actively a day. But again, that could be the same folks joining the same meeting. Where was that? Oh shoot. Here it is. Okay, Zoom's daily meeting participation surged from 10 million to 300 million. Okay, 10 million to 300 million in the first 4 months of 2020. Again, overall due to the pandemic and the stay-at-home economy. This was a surprise again. Again, this was not something that Zoom could kind of scale, or any company could really scale, but they're taking it with strides and basically going from 10 million to 300 million. Again, that's a huge multiple increase there. With other competitors trying to take away some market share. Again, Facebook announced something regarding some other kind of wonderful thing, whatever they're doing over there, those Facebook guys. But that being said, like the Zoom communication, whatever your opinion is, they have really kind of gobbled up a lot of market share and a lot of press because of a lot of reasons, on being the forefront, again, holding the torch through the other things, and then also having that issue with privacy, where people were doing the Zoom bombing on being able to join meetings that weren't password protected and didn't have authorized users and all that kind of stuff. That issue's kind of gone away, and some other practices have been put in place. But that being said, this is this company looking at the fundamentals on top of what we follow here, basically on this Dyslexic Investor channel, is more the technical side of things. So we can go ahead and pop the chart back up. And I wanted to kind of give you this chart here as well. So this is, again, the head and shoulders pattern. You have the shoulder, head, shoulder. So this is basically indicating a potential decline. Basically looking for lower lows once it breaks that base here, and potentially going lower. The inverse of a head and shoulders panel was actually very bullish, but a traditional head and shoulders panel is very bearish, and one of the bearish patterns actually in a charts playbook. Looking at the overall support line here, we're going to go back to the chart and kind of look. This is called the neckline, and the neckline is basically what drives the whole story behind this, on if it breaks and holds this kind of thing. So let's go ahead and pop over back to the chart. Again, little charting looking at. So Zoom is a newer IPO that came out basically of May of last year. It's had a pretty decent run up to about 107, then kind of sold off, and basically to the end of last year in 2019 really wasn't seeing anything fantastic. Again, they only had 10 million daily users. Again, that could be the same user. They're not unique users. But then you can see here, since the pandemic, it has been just taking off from the beginning of February all the way, hitting a high of a 181 around basically the end of April here, and then kind of coming off here a little bit here in May. And we have earnings coming out here on the 1st of June, which is going to be a huge spotlight. Looking forth for getting more information on the fundamental side and some guidance if possible. All right, so we just kind of did that overall look at the neckline with the right here. We can go look at this. So this is the neckline. Again, this is a very perfect head and shoulders here. It's not always like this. It could be on a slight angle, things like that. This could be in many different forms moving throughout. So the early indications is basically the neckline is anywhere around here, basically kind of be anywhere from 109. We're just going to do it like at 120-ish potentially. We're going to draw a line here. We're going to do an alert actually at or below. So we're going to just consider this the neckline, okay? And this is going to be the shoulders breakout potential. Looking at it above, looking for this shoulder here, and then the head here with this shoulder trying to break out. So if this shoulder kind of breaks out, it can break out just a little bit here, maybe to like 164, 165, and then we would like to see it if you are on the bearish side to continue going lower. The parabolic SAR here, which is the purple little dots, are trying to print it lower. The trend has not switched yet. We do see a lot of momentum behind it on the moving averages, with the 5, 8, and 21 very nicely stacked, but we did see kind of a down day or a down week, or the last, well, not the whole week, but the Friday, with the overall market surging, with the overall optimism of the pandemic, I wouldn't say canceled, but really the light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of people might be getting out of this and looking for a potential sale. With earnings around the corner, this is going to be a hard one to kind of look on what's happening. I wouldn't just dump in all your money or in one position in one go. We're looking at for potential, seeing on how this plays out. So basically just sitting on your hands and seeing if once it breaks or starts showing support around certain of these averages or levels of interest. Looking on a weekly chart, the head and shoulders pattern is not very clear. What I wanted to pull out was the 4-hour chart, and this kind of gives a little bit better perspective on, again, this is a 4-hour chart, and each of these candles are 4 hours. So this kind of breaks down the shoulder, head, and shoulder here, with the neckline basically being around, again, the technical analysis is not a science, it's more like an art form. So looking at the 123-ish level for a potential neckline, but the neckline, if you wanted to draw it, could it be up to all the way up to 130? I really want it to prove it to me before I put my money into it. The under indicator here is the Chaikin money flow is getting very low. It's actually very negative, meaning that there are funds getting out of this, unwinding positions. The momentum is very stagnant. RSI is stagnant, it's kind of pointing down. And then you have the momentum TTM squeeze here, kind of just being blah. Then we can go switch to another wonderful trend loader chart here. Again, this is a 4-hour chart. Looking at the potential, once this the ticker symbol kind of turns white, that could indicate a potential switch. We are seeing quite a bit lower volume in the stock. Again, this has been a crazy move for Zoom, with super high volumes through and throughout, and just huge swings up and down, couple gaps, things like that. But once we can start seeing that this starts coming down to kind of leveling off here, potentially trying to go lower, this could be an opportunity to get in. I'm actually going to move this neckline up to around 132 actually, for my initial neckline, for potentially seeing if it can go lower from there. Again, breaking it down to the sense of that the 200 moving average, or exponential moving average, is the white dots here, is still kind of going up. Again, that's a very long-term trend line. We do see that my favorite 8 just crossing 21, but it's kind of leveling off here. Again, the momentum indicators aren't that fantastic. It's not screaming at you and everything like that. On the slow stochastic here, we're seeing that the red line, which is basically the indicator crossing through the pink line or purple, whatever you want to call it, could be an indication of a switch. And again, this is around the middle of the band, indicating a potential lower prices. So looking at multiple of these indicators, it's not just one indicator that gives you the driving force of you have to short it or it's going to fall or crash from here. I want to bring it back to the 4-hour chart here, and I'm going to do is this the 4? Yeah, okay. Nope. Thank you. All right. So again, this stock has been moving quite a bit, again, breaking it a lot out of its standard deviation channels. This last breakout here, basically, this is, there we go. Let's see here. That's fine. Okay, so breaking out basically here, again, using these lines here as our guidelines, not a full-on fruition of what we're looking at, but it broke out here on the 3 deviation channel, and now it's coming back to the average here, so around 152. This is common. Again, what happens is, but on the 4-hour chart, we're still seeing the momentum getting lower, and again, volume is still higher than average, just slightly, but it's getting a little bit more lackluster, lack of better words. I want to actually pull this to a daily chart for you. With this huge momentum and swings within Zoom, is you're going to get these gap up levels here, these huge gap ups, gap downs, gap ups, gap downs, these little holes here on the chart. And these little holes in the chart could be an indication for it has to fill it. So this little gap down here was pretty dramatic due to, again, with an overall market sell-off at that time or sentiment change, it can go fairly fast. So there's an expression in the overall markets or terminology within trading is it's kind of an escalator up, but then an elevator down. So you can kind of see a nice little elevator or escalator up and then elevator down. This is more of a rocket higher and then an elevator lower, staircase higher and then elevator lower. To get to that same point, it took you 3 weeks, but then it went down within a week to about 50% retracement of that. Looking at the overall analysis here, it's going to be a very tough pattern to trade, but it just has to, you just have to sit and wait on your hands. Do you want to short here? What if it hits 161 again? Potentially, depending on how, if it gaps up on a moving, on like if it from, let's say, because today's Saturday, and it opens up Monday, and it opens up exactly at like 162, are you going to short it? That's going to be a very aggressive pattern. You would rather have it kind of play it out more due to the fact that earnings is around the corner. You want to be very cautious of what kind of size you're entering with this position, and then looking if you're playing options or if you're playing puts, if you're selling calls or whatsoever, being very careful and mindful of the different patterns out here. Looking at, again, if it gaps up on Monday due to maybe other news coming out due to the pandemic being more negative and maybe postponing phase 1 of returning and opening the economy, this could gap up to 162, 165 easily, without a doubt. But again, what we follow here on Dyslexic Investor is when it closes. So it hasn't closed below 21 yet. So that would be my first indication for lower prints. So if the 8 kind of slowly comes curling over through the 21, which is the yellow line, this could be an indication for lower prices. Again, things can change. I don't have a crystal ball. Just be very mindful of that. And then looking for these guidelines. So if it comes up to 162, this is an indication of like, hey, if it breaks and closes above that to a certain extent, plus or minus $1 or $2, that the head and shoulders pattern is still somewhat intact, but it doesn't look as attractive as it did before. And then again, it has to kind of follow through with things starting to sell off potentially and going lower. So that's basically my analysis. The key takeaways of just kind of sitting on your hands, waiting for the chart to prove it to you before you make a dramatic move into Zoom stock, or just going super short of it and then losing your money due to the fact of it just had a fake out, and then it went up to its current price again and went crashing down from there. Again, this is just my opinions. This is what I look at the charts. These are just all my conclusions and my theses and my hypotenuse and my whatever other scientific cool words I can say, looking at Zoom video communication stock. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content, if you learned something. Again, you can go ahead and join that Discord server. We have a live stream starting tomorrow at 8:30. We'll be discussing a lot more different charts, talking to other trading ideas and investors, and I would really appreciate if you showed up and participated. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.